Hello and welcome to Reality Check. It is good to be here again. Seems GameSpot have a new fire alarm since I've last been here. Cool, I like it. And a new earthquake machine? Wait a minute. The old earthquake machine was fine. Oh, don't be fooled, humble viewer. That's just some sensational acting combined with the latest in motion graphics. Whoa! But of course, one bombshell that is dropping in a few weeks is the release of Fallout 76. And perhaps more than any Fallout game in the past, 76 emphasizes survival and rebuilding. This is because the landscape of West Virginia, where the game takes place, is not a desolate wasteland, thanks to it not being directly bombed or fully irradiated. Happy days! So naturally, Reality Check is here to find out how one might go about surviving following a real-life Fallout 76 apocalypse. In a two-part special, we're going to investigate the tips and tricks you might need to survive and maybe even thrive in a real-life Fallout 76 world. When it comes to survivalism, I am useless. The only animal I know how to hunt is the humble haggis, and they're easy to catch. They just go around in circles. So I tracked down a survivalist expert to help me out. It's Professor Lewis Dartnell, author of The Knowledge, How to Rebuild Our World from Scratch. He's a genuine expert on the subtle art of post-apocalyptic survival.
Burn your enemies, burn them with fire, kill them with fire.
Okay, let's start with the basics, I think. Welcome back to Reality Check, Lewis. I know this is not your first time, but this is the first time you've brought a whole table of things. What's going on this table?
So what I brought with me is a whole collection of everyday items, things you could use to help you survive an apocalypse.
What's the very first thing I should do?
Dying of starvation, running out of food. Like dying is something to motivate your mind, and the lack of food will kill you in a matter of weeks. But what will kill you long before then is dehydration, is the lack of water. So your top priority is going to be find sources of natural water and then purify them. It would be so frustrating to have survived the end of the world.
Celebratory glass of water.
And you have a celebratory drink of water and you end up dying of typhoid or cholera, all these other kind of really simple to prevent waterborne diseases.
Now, purifying water is actually one of the very first things Fallout 76 tells you to do in the game, and I believe that's by boiling the water. So what should I do in real life?
Yeah, so I mean, boiling water works. The problem is it uses a lot of fuel. And one really nice, one really clever alternative is known as SODIS, or solar disinfection. And even today, this is being taught around the developing world, around developing nations, to stop something like 1 million people a year dying of easily preventable waterborne diseases.
So which item on our table is going to help us?
And all you need
is
just an empty plastic bottle. Put your suspect water in that, something you've taken from a lake or a river, and then just leave it out in the sunshine for a day or two. Come back to it. And then because you've essentially constrained that water to be very shallow, the ultraviolet rays and the sunlight can pass straight through it and then kill or inactivate any germs, any waterborne diseases in that water.
Okay, so I'm going to survive at least a few weeks, hopefully, with my lovely clean water, but what's the next kind of priority on my list? What do I need to make?
So you're also going to want to harness fire. Fire will cook food for you, so again, you don't get sick and die after eating a bad meal. Fire will keep the cold at bay and you don't die of exposure.
Keep your enemies at bay.
Keep your enemies at bay, you can burn them with fire. But fire's just been fantastically useful for thousands of years for making things and transforming substances and materials for us. So things like hairspray or chapstick.
Also things that make you look great.
Vaseline. These are great for everyday grooming after the apocalypse, but these actually will help you stay alive as well, because these are all accelerants. They will help a fire get started. And what you're looking for is that joyful symbol right there, which is do not mix with fire. And if your life depends on it, that's exactly the kind of flammable stuff you want to spray onto your kindling or tinder to try to get that alight.
Law-abiding citizens will not.
Now, another thing that I know I'm going to need in the post-apocalypse is medicine, because obviously I'm going to get sick or I'm going to get hurt. In Fallout 76, you have stim packs, but what's the kind of real-life option to keep myself alive in that way?
Yeah, stim packs are great things to find in the Fallout world and in the game, but they don't really exist in the real world. There's no panacea you can take that will cure you of any disease or any injury. The sort of things you'll want to look out for and scavenge and forage for in the world around you would be the kind of medications you're familiar with, so things like antibiotics. There have been studies done by the US military, for example, that have found that antibiotics still work and don't become poisonous decades after the best before date. If you can't find medications like that, what you could do is find a bottle of vodka or alcohol or other kind of concentrated spirits, which is great for a post-apocalyptic party, but will also save your life. And if you've got a nasty gash or a nasty wound, you do not want to get some kind of infection in a world without hospitals, and a good glug of vodka will disinfect the wound for you. But ultimately, you want to close that wound as quickly as you can to stop the bacteria getting in. And all you would need is just to apply a line of super glue to hold together the edges, and that will form a physical barrier that will stop the bacteria getting to that wound and you picking up an infection when you can't do anything about it.
So when it comes to food, in the game, you can scavenge things just lying around. In fact, even when you kill creatures, you can kind of take steaks and then go and cook them. But what would your advice be to me as a survivor in a real-life post-apocalypse when it comes to eating?
Well, sooner or later, you are going to have to reinvent agriculture. But again, in this immediate aftermath, you will be able to scavenge and forage for what you need. And if you find yourself to an abandoned supermarket that hasn't been hit too badly, you'll be able to find shelves of canned food just waiting there. And again, something like tinned food will keep decades after its best before date. And actually, when I was researching for my book, The Knowledge, I calculated that an average supermarket can keep a single person alive for about 55 years, or 63 years if you're happy to eat all the canned dog food and cat food as well. I think.
What is this? Is this dog food?
I have no idea, the labels come off. But I think if it reached the point of trying to keep myself alive by eating cat food, I would be looking for another escape route at that point.
Well, that's it for part 1, where we've hopefully learned how to survive a real-life Fallout 76 apocalypse. But what did you think? Let me know your thoughts on Lewis's tips and tricks, and if you have any survival ideas of your own, you can put them down in the comments below, or you can tweet to me directly at CamFrazRob. Next week, in part 2, Lewis will take us a step further. How are we going to go about rebuilding in a Fallout 76 world? See you then.
Play it on the world's most powerful console.